Councillor Naidu, let me come to you first, because I like the fact, maybe we should keep that. I know branding Konki, but could we keep that slide on, please? Just so for reference. Teacher's chalkboard, don't erase. We erase when I leave, you erase. Yeah. Okay. Skills is one of the points he raised, that there are not enough skills. And I can relate to teachers being municipal managers. One SATU comrade of mine became a municipal manager. He messed up. He was a mess in SATU, and he went and things just went upside down in that municipality. You won't know where, because it's very far from here. But really now, how do you then get it right? 10 years again of unqualified audit means you have skills. Is that right?
Good afternoon.
Yeah,
can you hear me?
You're on now.
Okay. I think we have a great team. Both the political leadership as well as the municipal leadership. And we work together. We have a shared vision of a clean audit going forward to 2014. So it's about working together, but taking into consideration as well that, we support clean governance, but we need to consider that we are a developmental state. So the issue around skills will always come up. However, we need to work together to close those gaps. And as a district, we've formed a district municipal public accounts forum, right, where we then share with our local municipalities. So it's a way of transferring skills. It's a way of encouraging each other and capacitating each other. We work also very closely with the provincial SCOPA, as well as COCTA, the provincial COCTA as well. So I think it's about building relationships, it's about teamwork, and moving forward together. But at the same time, not forgetting that we are a developmental state, we are looking at inclusive growth. So some of the things that we need to consider perhaps is the rigidity. Is it really skills, a lack of skills, or is it the bureaucracy that we actually caught up with? So it's something that we need to consider.
Scope. When government wants the skills in the right place, it can get the skills in the right place. SARS is a good example. In fact, all government departments that collect revenue, I found, are very well resourced. Try registering a car in Loveday Street, Johannesburg. Right in the middle of chaos, you find this office. They will tell you how many minutes when you walk through the door they are going to take to serve you. And guess what? They will in that amount of time. Am I fair to government in saying that we are giving too much in resources to collection of revenue and not enough in resources to making sure we account and have controls so that we can restore the confidence of the public in that their money will be spent responsibly and accounted for? After all, you are the accountant general.
Is this on? It's my human right to be heard.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if I'm on the air.
Chapter 2 of your constitution allows you.
Thank you very much. I think that's a very interesting comment that you're making, and I would like to bring a bit of perspective, if I may. During the last 10 years, an enormous amount of money has been put on skills development. Many of you colleagues might be aware and are sometimes frustrated by the minimum competency regulation. That's that regulation that requires 4 items. 1, that you have appropriate academic qualification. 2, that you have complied to 5-year senior management experience. 3, that you've completed the certificate in municipal finance. And 4, that you have a performance agreement that speaks to the deliverables of the municipality. This has been funded through the financial management grant. Now, on average, we spend about 450 million rand per year, and the municipality is able to access that funding.
Is
for
that the one
developing
through the
skills.
DBSA?
No,
No?
that's through the National Treasury. It's a DORA grant,
Okay.
Division of Revenue Act. So in 10 years, we have approximately spent 3 billion rand on developing skills. Currently, there's 1,750 odd interns at municipalities. Since the inception of the program, we're just over close to 3,000 interns. So money is definitely not the problem. There's more than enough money. The seriousness in applying this resource to the benefit of the municipality, I think, is of a bigger concern. And what do I mean with that? If you have the luxury of an intern for 2 years, you should expose this young person. You should grow a talent pipeline, because clean audits will not be achieved through the rainmaker or the lone ranger. It's always a team effort.
Right.
It's never an incident, it's a process, and for that you need a team.
So you and I'm a skills development person even after all these years. You don't want them photocopying and running around doing mundane jobs, and then after 2 years, thank you very much, off you go. You have your hours, you fulfilled your training requirements. Which brings me now to you, Nosipo, because if you are intervening in all these municipalities that you're looking at, the availability of skills, is that something you see? The willingness, the political will, because I understand, I don't think there's even political will, because politicians would like a clean audit. So what is not working in your observation?
Thank you, Program Director. What normally we would do is basically go in and do a skills audit. Even at audit committee level, we basically look at the structuring of the finance department, and then we look at the key areas that we expect to have in the municipality.
Right.
What we do find is that the municipalities that are struggling the most is the ones that geographically placed, they are in the outskirts. They actually struggle to attract the appropriate amount of skills
Right.
that are required, especially at the leadership level. I'd say more in the positions, for example, CFO level, because of their geographical location. And then you do find that in some instances, people have been placed in positions that, in terms of their experience and level of education, they are not ready to be in. Like the example that was made earlier of a teacher being expected, no offense,
I'm not running a town.
of a person, but it's
Yeah.
just
No, we can
an
stick with the
example.
teachers.
And
We can take it. We have a.
it's not even teachers. You actually get interns who were with the organization, let's say, for 2 years,
Right.
and are then expected to perform at CFO level. One at from a strategic point of view, they don't have the experience. They've been in the organization for 2 years, learning fresh out of the educational institution. However, you'd find that the municipality had advertised, re-advertised the post and what have you, and that person was the next best candidate and was put in that position. Not very easy to apportion blame in those circumstances. However,
Right.
we do believe that there is room for improvement. There are stakeholders that can be approached. And then more than anything, it's the attitude as well of the staff to say, having put the people with the right skills in the right positions, what is the attitude towards achieving a clean audit? What's the attitude towards running a clean administration? So we do find that it's not just the skills only. It goes with a variety.
A variety
other
of things.
Yeah.
That bad, eh? Joey, you are part of a provincial government. Some of these municipalities, and when she mentions that, I remember an experience around Nkanza where we had to hire a. No, it was the village bank, and I went there twice, 3 times. We had exactly the situation where candidates apply. The best candidate was only marrying into the village. And those cane farmers said, not on our lives, the Makotis no want to come in here and start running our bank. They ended up settling for a local boy, but he was also not good enough. So I can relate to that. But your provincial government, obviously, especially you will know that certain areas are at risk. Is there a likelihood that the provincial government will intervene in such areas and say, let's get the CFO role of certain municipalities maybe performed, I don't know, around a pool of skills that you don't have to have somebody relocating to Melmoth, because you might not find somebody willing to settle in that area with the qualifications that are required. But then you can have a pool of, I don't know, is there a solution? You're from the provincial government that seems to get it right, relatively speaking.
Thanks, Victor. I think, let me say firstly that the issue of skills and capacity is not unique to local government. I think as a country, you would have heard over the media in the last 2 days, we're short of 20,000 accountants in the country. Okay? So we're not going to find accountants. We're not going to find more accountants. Equally scarce are the internal auditors, your risk officers. So in terms of the institutional requirements, it is quite complex. And a small place like one of our very small municipalities in the most remote part of the province, Umhlabulingana municipality, is not, it's on the border of Mozambique. It's not going to be able to attract the level of skill that you're looking for, right? But at the same time, you must have that skill to be able to perform as an administration. And you're being measured in exactly the same manner as eThekwini Metro is being measured, or Utungulu District. So you've got to still comply with the MFMA. You've still got to send in all of those, the barrage of returns that you must. The province is still monitoring and requires you to submit a whole range of things.
Right.
So the burden on such a small municipality will be huge. Now, there's short, medium, and long-term plans to deal with the issue of skills and capacity. Right? In terms of the short-term skills, because we're sitting now with, and it's not just administrative skills or administrative experts, it's also the skills level of the politicians to exercise oversight within the governance framework. Now, as an example, KZN in the last local government election had 80% of their councillors being completely new to local government. They were appointed for the first time as councillors. Absolutely no experience. And these are the people that have to exercise oversight. This is your board. Now, in the private sector, when we sat here, you saw the level of competence in the private sector and in those boards that oversee these major companies. Whereas in government, you're sitting with politicians that are elected that don't necessarily have the skills. Many of them don't even have a matric certificate. Okay? And some of these are sitting on public accounts committees and expected to read financial statements, expected to read audit reports and so on. So our approach is threefold. We do a great deal of hand-holding, right? We literally, as COCTA, sit as ex officio members on impacts and on audit committees. Because even though you might be buying in skills for audit committees, because you're paying audit committee members to come in, the context of local government is very different from that of a private sector company. Okay? The political dynamic also is something that has to be managed. It's not something that we need to shy away from or ignore. It's something that we have to manage. So at that level, there's a lot of hand-holding, right? Then you, as realists, you want to ask yourself, are these municipalities really viable? Okay? Should they be existing? Because we had a municipality that was getting continuous unqualified audit reports, but they did not deliver a single service.
Oh yeah, keep the money under the mattress.
No, they didn't even keep it under the mattress. They were not even collecting enough to invest in development and in infrastructure or anything for that matter.
But is there a chance that most of your municipalities are getting clean audits because they are doing exactly that?
No, not at all.
Hey, heat
Not
maps
at all.
don't tell us these things.
This municipality then
Right.
was turned around in terms of service delivery by investment and management, project management,
Right.
and skills from the provincial level. So then we tried to then manage the infrastructure service delivery through expertise in the province, because there's also not enough engineers.
Right.
Right? So that's an aspect that we deal with in terms of the hand-holding and hands-on involvement in local
And are you
government.
finding it easy then to go back to Treasury and say, I need some extra resources here because this hand-holding is going to cost me money? So yes, you might not deploy them to Mhlawelinga. I know that place. Even with a 4x4, you got to be a good driver to navigate the roads. Are you able to, are you getting the support from Treasury to allow you to get extra resources that you can deploy even if they are centrally located in the provincial office?
I think I don't want to even tell the audience about the economic conditions in the country and the hardships,
Yeah.
or the fact that the provincial budget was reduced following the census, or the fact that there isn't a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, as we would all like to think there is. So there isn't more money.
He just told us money is not the problem.
No.
You know, the teacher gets these things and writes notes, you know. So money is not the problem. You obviously know what you're doing because your municipalities are delivering on the main. You have people like Nosipo who are saying, we will take our expertise in there and turn things around. So why can't you get a SWAT team? It's not a permanent thing, you know. It's not an e-tolling story here. We're getting a group of people who have a 5-year mandate to beef up her team, so when she goes, you don't have to, because I can imagine it, that you're going to have a team of 5 people having to cover 25 municipalities. They're going to be working flat out. And guess what they're going to be called? Names, because they're the ones who say, wait, you can't do this until we have. And when they go to that board member who doesn't know how to read this, and they say, the reason we are not moving is that Ayanda, he has to come here and do this because KZN provincial government says we can't move. I mean, something has to give, right?
Absolutely.
Am I exaggerating? Am I
No,
over
you're
dramatic?
not. One of the provincial things that we've done is we looked at the viability of municipalities, and it's a process that we've been dealing with for at least the last 3 years. If you look at the redemarcation gazettes that had just been published, we've got 61 municipalities in KZN.
Right.
From this initial redemarcation, we'll reduce that number by 7. Right? So we will in KZN then have 54 municipalities.
Right.
We're also then looking at establishing another metro, which will eliminate a further 6 municipalities.
Metro, why?
I will not say. But I mean, that's something that we had to do to get the institution right. Okay? What that means is that you're going to have 7 less mayors, 7 in number of office bearers times 7, that amount less. You're going to have less municipal managers, senior officials. You're going to then be able to pay more to attract the right skills in those areas. And that's structurally dealing with some of our problems. And let's accept that some of our problems are structural.
That's a political landmine, isn't it?
Well, we've been able to manage it in KZN.
All right.
Okay, and KZN's politics
Yep.
is far more interesting than anywhere else in the country.
Certainly.
So we've gotten it right.
All right. We're asking if this 2014 clean audit thing is achievable. And Mr. Msivi, come on, I haven't moved from my skeptical position. This thing is not going to happen, not by 2014. Just listening to what I've heard. Auditor General, you are presiding over something here that is not achievable. This clean audit thing, the goalpost, the date has to be shifted. Or something has got to be injected to make this possible. I know I'm in the media a bit, but please, I want to hear what you have to say.
Thanks, Program Director. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Just to respond on the question of 2014 as a target. In several forums where we engage government ministers, COGTA specifically, individual accounting officers, there's still a commitment to meet 2014 as a target. So I don't think from the audit office point of view, I really need to say whether it's achievable or not. but I can always talk to the support as partners in the process.
Right.
In terms of the analysis we make in root causes, what needs to be done at the level where audit outcomes will change to that level. We are providing that support through our stakeholder engagements, where the analysis that we make sure that it allows and enables that corrective action to be made. Maybe to elaborate more, I think few years back as an office, we really used to meet our mandate, audit, report, and pull out of the audit. But we realized that that is not assisting the country at large. That's when we started devising the whole visibility program, where we said we need to engage robustly with all the stakeholders, those who are charged with governance, those who are charged with oversight, and basically engage at a level where we make sure that they understand what we are reporting.
But when you say engage, give me an example of a typical engagement. What do? I want to see it happen. Like, okay, we call people and we say, come on, you've had a disclaimer, you've had this, an adverse, whatever. How do you do it? Just an illustration so that I can educate Ayanda when we finish.
I think mainly we don't stop at reflecting that the audit is a qualified audit disclaimer. We go deeply. Because as an office, we have identified 6 key risk areas.
Right.
One is human resource management, which my colleagues have spoken to at length as a challenge. The second area is quality of financial statements, as well as quality of performance reports. That talks to the responsibility of accountability as far as Section 40 of PFMA is concerned.
Right.
It's one of the areas we highlight. Fourthly, it's supply chain management,
Right.
because it is our understanding that the main business of government is through expanding the resources in terms of meeting the developmental objectives of
Yes.
government.
And then you run
and
into
priorities.
tender quagmires, and then it's just a nightmare again. You've also been, people have been hearing saying, maybe change even the supply chain, change the procurement and not use tenders as much as you should, because that's an area of abuse, isn't it?
Look, for us in terms of basic controls, I can use quickly an example of decentralizing procurement or centralizing.
Right.
For me, it doesn't matter, it's just a model, as long as controls that are supporting any of the model that you go for will basically make sure that you account for all the resources that you expense completely, accurately. So the focus should be on the elements of internal controls that should support the business.
But sometimes
So-
control gets in the way of doing. That's where now people keep money under the proverbial mattress. And they will get a clean audit because their control is no control, because they are doing nothing. And that wouldn't make you happy either. I mean, you're Auditor General, yes, but you wouldn't be happy because you mentioned developmental mandate, service delivery targets. You wouldn't be happy that people are so big on control and not getting caught out that they don't do anything. And it is happening with this service delivery protests, we can see.
I don't think we have that situation in the country. As indicated earlier, the mandate of all these entities, departments, municipalities, is basically to spend. I think what I was trying to allude to when I referred to the system of internal control,
Right.
it's basically systems, policies, and procedures that will basically support that each of these entities are able to account for those resources in the manner that they were expensed, and in line with the applicable legislations that affects those environment.
Right.
And lastly, they should be in a position again to reflect in terms of performance reports,
Yeah.
how those activities have panned out throughout the year.
Let me ask Nosipo Rayanda, but let me start with you, Nosipo. Relative to where you are in the municipalities where you are responsible, compared to where you're supposed to get to. Let's just talk about the 3 municipalities. They're not going to get a clean audit next year. Sorry, I like to be able to go out there toy and say clean audit is happening, but do you see it happening in at least the 3 areas where you have? And I wanted you to think of an example where you moved from down in the pits to clean audit in the shortest possible time. And maybe I'll tell you what it took to be, you can tell me what it, you can tell me what it took to achieve that. But where you are, Nosipo, come on. You look like an optimistic person, but be realistic here.
Looking at the challenges that they are facing, and also where we would like to get them and the road there.
Yeah.
Not very easy to tell. I can tell you right now that it will be almost a miracle for them to achieve clean audits. And remember, clean audit doesn't only mean unqualified reports,
No,
because
no.
you can have an unqualified with other matters. It is not saying that it's not possible for them to get unqualified reports. However, they have issues that they are dealing with. And also, like Joey, when she was speaking earlier, she spoke about the solutions being more of a short-term, medium-term, and long-term. And we've basically seen that some of the solutions that are needed there are of a long-term nature.
Yeah, Scott.
And hence,
National culture that permeates to provincial, that permeates to municipal level. We are not setting the right tone up at Pretoria, are we? If I may say, if we have all these municipalities and we don't seem to stand a ghost of a chance of achieving 2014 clean audit, I'll go to provincial and I'll see some provincial governments that are trying, but I say the national tone of South Africa when it comes to accountability and fiscal responsibility and reporting and audit and controls, all those things. We are not doing very well at the top, are we?
I would beg to differ. Recent, maybe this is not good examples, but there's certain municipalities, and if the MFMA requires for you to submit your annual financial statements and you are 3 years behind,
Yeah,
then do not expect the transfer of your equitable share.
sure.
So I think there's a pretty serious tone at the top, articulated at the highest possible level in outcomes 9 and 12, and say we are serious about clean financial administration. One of those aspects is a clean audit, but we are also concerned about the run-of-the-mill daily financial management aspects that will eventually lead to...
Yeah, pardon the interruption, Skull. The reason I'm saying that is, I agree. Treasury, nobody really, if we can say, messes with Treasury, right? If Treasury says you're not going to get your money if you don't do 1, 2, 3, people have come to accept they won't get the money. Treasury is okay in that department. I'm talking about national departments also, not leading by example. In other words, how many national departments are getting clean audits relative to? That's where I'm going.
Yes, from the 43 national departments, there was 9 with either serious qualifications or disclaimers. 43 of them are more or less other matters of emphasis or observations or clean audits. But it's also true that some of these are policy departments, and it's fairly easy and not so complex environments. The principle stays. Government is serious about...
What is my department getting? Education. What is it getting, audit-wise? Emphasis of matter.
The national department has done well. They've had an unqualified audit.
Okay.
But for the provinces, it's a bit more complicated.
My province is very complicated.
Yes.
Extremely. Okay, I just wanted to see if we can set the tone. Mr. Msibi, let me come back to you now, because I really want you to make a call. Bold leadership, intellectually or whatever, say to us, maybe not 2014, maybe 3 years out, to move this machine that South Africa is not easy, but I need to get confidence that you at least are saying it, the Auditor General, listen, we have come a long way. Come on, got to make a call.